Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is YAHMAD. So we're going to be continuing on with the animation series of videos, and in this video we're going to be looking at motion animation. So I think this video is going to be split into three different parts. So the first part, what we're going to do is create some bouncing balls using the shapes tool. So let's get started. So let's click on File and New. And I'm just going to leave the canvas size as it is for now and click on create. Okay, so in the last video we looked at frame by frame animation. Now we're going to be looking at motion animation, and you'll see the difference between a frame by frame and a motion animation. In this video there'll be a smoother transition between the keyframes. Okay, so let's get started. So before I do anything, I'm going to click on the shapes tool, press down, click on the oval tool and draw myself a ball, a circle, okay? And I'm going to use the selection tool to select the circle. We can choose the color as well, so we can choose the full color. So let's change that to red. And if you want to change the outline to any other color, you can see it's changed on the stage, or you can make it transparent. It's up to you. So there is no outline. Okay. So what we're going to do next is we're going to click on layer 1 and rename this to red ball. Okay. And before we can animate this, before we can make use of the classic tween or the motion tween, we need to convert the shape into a symbol. So you can highlight the shape and you can click on modify and convert to symbol and select graphic and give the symbol a name, so red ball. Okay. So now that we have this ball, what we're going to do is make the ball go up and down the stage. Okay, so we'll go up and down in seconds. So if I insert a keyframe here, and if I move the ball up, okay, and then if I insert the keyframe here and move the ball down, we're still doing frame by frame animation here. So if I go to control, test movie in animate, you can see the ball's going to jump up and jump down. There's no smooth transition between the keyframes. So what we can do is we can right click in between the keyframes and click on create classic tween, and you see a purple arrow, and you can see from this keyframe, this is the starting position, it's going to go from here to here, and then you can say this is the start position now, and we want to end up at this position. So again, we want to have that transition from keyframe to keyframe, so we can right click and click on create classic tween, and let's see how that looks now. So test movie in animate, so it goes up and down, up and down. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it go a little bit slower this time. So it's going to be over 2 seconds. It's going to be bouncing up and down. So you can see if we insert more frames between the keyframes, the animation will be a little bit slower. So let's insert keyframe at a 4-second point. So on 120th frame. Okay, and so that's the start position. The end position will be up here again, and create a classic tween. And let's get the ball to come back down again to the start position. So we want the ball to be back here at the bottom of the stage. And so 4 seconds, let's go to 6 seconds. And the first two bounces will go back to this point. We're over 1 second, so it goes up and down, and that's within 2 seconds. But now we're going to be going up, and that's going to be 2 seconds long, and we're going to be going down, and that's 2 seconds long. So the more frames that you include, the slower the animation will be. So let's go to control, test movie in animate. So the first two bounces are quick compared to the next two bounces, since we have more frames, and then we're looping back to the first frame again. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to insert another layer, and I'm going to insert a keyframe here. Okay, so, and now what we're going to do is we're going to get another bouncing ball. We'll make it a bit bigger. Let's lock the first layer, Let me color in this ball, so highlight it using the selection tool. Choose the color you would like for your ball, and we can have, this time, let's make the outline a particular color, so purple. Okay, let's highlight the ball again. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to delete this, and before I draw the ball, let's change it to a color, maybe this color. Okay, and let's draw the ball again. So you can see we have the outline now. And what we can do is we can rename this layer to green ball. And we're going to do the same thing again. So you'll notice this is like a dark gray because nothing appears until we get to this keyframe here. So you can see the red ball is bouncing up and down. And then we have this keyframe, okay, which will appear at the 6-second mark pretty much. So before we can animate this, we need to convert this into a graphic. So if I go to modify, convert to symbol, and let's call this green ball. Okay, and we're pretty much going to do the same thing. We're going to make this ball bounce up and down. We'll just go 1 second at a time. So this is a start position. Let's insert a keyframe here. Move it up to this point. And then insert a keyframe at 8 seconds. Move it down. Create a classic screen. Okay, so you can see this ball now appears at this point in the timeline. Okay. Now, let me just insert a few more keyframes, and then I'm going to go back to the red ball in a second. So now we're going to be going over 2 seconds again, like I did for the previous ball. So we're going to go from this point. Oops. I'm just going to press Control Z. I didn't select this keyframe. So we're going to go from this point here to this point. Create a classic tween. Okay. Now what I would like to do is, whilst the green ball is bouncing, I still want the red ball to bounce as well. So I don't want it to disappear completely. So we're going to insert keyframes. Okay. Let's unlock the red layer. Let's lock the green layer. And now for this layer, what we can do is let's just bounce the ball back up. So what we want is, whilst the green ball has appeared, we want the red ball to continue bouncing. So it goes up. You can see the green ball's here and the red ball's still here. Insert another keyframe. Let's bring the ball down. So in this keyframe, it's at the top of the stage, and in this keyframe, it's at the bottom of the stage. Create a classic tween. And what I'm going to do is, now we're going to fade out this ball. So at the 9-second point, let's insert a keyframe. If you click on the circle, you go to color effects here, alpha, and you can drop this down to complete to 0. Create a classic tween. So what's going to happen is the red ball is going up and down with the green ball, and then whilst that green ball is going up, the red ball fades out. Okay, and what we're going to do now is let's lock the red ball layer and go back to the green ball layer, and I'm going to click on this keyframe here, and what we're going to do is move this ball into the center of the stage. So that can be done over 1 second. Create the classic tween. Okay, and what we're going to do is, this ball is going to fade out, but this time it's going to have a slightly different effect. So we're going to go up in 1 second. I'm going to resize this ball. And if I was to insert a classic tween at this point, you can see the ball is resizing, but what we want to do is also fade it out. So if you click on the circle, the ball, go to color effects. Actually, before we do that, let's change the color. Let's go to tint and choose color, a full percent. So you can see it goes from green to yellow. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to insert a keyframe. So it's good to play around these different things. Let's make the ball even bigger. And whilst it's getting bigger, it's going to fade out. So the alpha effect will be 0. Create the classic tween. So it gets bigger, changes color, and then starts zooming out. So let's go to control, test the movie in animate. So you can manipulate the speed of the balls by including more frames or less frames. And there we go. Okay. If you wanted to, let's say for example, I'm going to insert another layer now. And I'm going to call this square. Whoops. So let me just rename layer 3. And this square is going to appear 3 seconds in. So let's lock the other 2 layers. You can hide the other 2 layers as well if you don't want to see the other 2 layers. So the 3-second interval, let's insert keyframe. I'm going to click on the rectangle tool and I'm going to just draw myself a square. And what we're going to do is we're going to just highlight this. I can change the outline now, and let's change the fill color to like a sky blue turquoise. Okay, and what we're going to do is this ball, or this, sorry, not the ball, this square is going to be moving across the stage back and forth. So if I insert keyframe, actually no, before I do that, let me, sorry, I'm just losing my voice a little bit. Let's make this into a symbol, so modify and convert the symbol. Sorry guys, I'm just going to get water in a second. And what we're going to do, I'm going to put loads of frames in. So we're going to go up to 8-second mark. So I just want to show you what happens if we have loads of frames in between the keyframes. And this square is going to go from here to here. Create a classic tween. So you can see it's going to take a while to get to this point on the stage. And maybe here on a 12-second mark, this square is going to come to this point. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to fade out the square, but this time we're going to spin it maybe a little bit as well. So let's move to the middle of the stage. Go to the free transform tool and we're going to spin it around and go to alpha, make sure it's dropped to 0. Classic tween, and let's see what happens. Sorry guys, my voice is going. I see all of the layers. So we got the red ball, the green ball, which will appear later, and then the square, which will appear at the 3-second mark. So go to control, test movie in animate. We've got a square that's appeared. It's moving across. And you can see also the square is rotating and spinning and fading out the stage as well. Okay guys, thank you for watching this video. Please like and share and drop your comments below. So this video was all about motion animation using a classic tween. So with the frame by frame animation, there was no transition between the keyframes. Now we do have that transition. Also, We looked at different layers, so make sure you put things onto different layers. Each different object should be on a different layer. And we also looked at the timeline in this video as well. Okay, thank you for your time. Bye-bye.